Hey, Adam. Needless to say, you have a pretty crowded house in your backfield here, obviously, going into the spring. How do you kind of see some of these roles shaking out? I mean, obviously, uh, Brad said the other day, felt like that's too many. Felt like there needs to be some guys that I would imagine end up at different spots. Is that just kind of part of figuring out where guys go this spring? And do you know if there are guys that are already going to head off to different spots?
Well, at this point, no. We're going to try to make it competitive this spring and see where the chips fall at the end of spring practice and have open and honest conversations after that about positions, about roles, so everybody knows exactly where they are. But, the biggest thing I want to have in my room is a competitive group. And so they need to compete for everything. And right now we do have a lot of guys. So the step for spring is to see who earns their roles and opportunities.
You're a guy who has kind of split between coaching positions and working with recruiting and some administrative things. How do you feel like that perspective from working indoors with the uh, administrative side of things, recruiting, has kind of helped you on the field as a coach?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that does is it gives you a little bit of a global perspective. When you coach a position, you get kind of locked in on your guys and your role and what they're supposed to do. Being involved in a lot of different areas of offense or a program is kind of provided that for me. So, like, when I see the picture, I try to see the big picture. It's not just about my guys and where they fit. It's about everybody and how we can make the team better. And whether that's in recruiting, whether that's in scheme, whether that's in personnel, I think that's the biggest advantage of my different roles.
You're a guy. I don't know an awful lot about your background. I mean, I know you're a Nebraska guy, and you worked with Justin. I guess 15 years ago or so, 14 years ago, for the first time. How have you kind of seen him evolve during your time with him? And was coaching kind of always in the cards for you when you were a defensive back at Nebraska?
Yeah, I've wanted to coach since I was a little kid. I mean, I didn't know if it would be college or high school. My dad was an educator, so education has been something that's been very important to me my whole life, and I really believe that football is one of the best tools for education. It's hard, it's up and down, it's emotional, so I think it's a great teacher for life, and I love that part of football. I've coached something since I was probably 18 or 19 years old. I've been coached at the high school level, coached at D2, coached at FCS, was off the field, coached at FCS some more. So I've been at a lot of different roles and places, but I've been coaching something for a long time, and that the part of it that I like is the educational component. Obviously, we all love the game, we love the scheme, but seeing guys be successful, seeing guys do things that they never thought they could do is what I love about coaching.
And with Justin, you said, like I said, I know you've worked with him since
Yeah,
2007 I guess you were a grad assistant working under him when he was the OC there. What was it about that connection that kind of has drawn you together for all these years? And you've obviously made an impression on him.
well, we started at the exact same time, basically. I mean, I think he had a couple months ahead of me at TCU when I got there. So we were both kind of the new guys. I think that was part of it. We're relatively close in age, so we kind of developed a relationship there. And as the offensive grad assistant, just like our guys here, you have a lot of responsibilities that are behind the scenes, and you develop a lot of trust. You could see right away that Coach Fuente was super talented and unbelievable at what he does, and so it wasn't surprising that he got a head job a few years ago after I left TCU. I was not surprised at all because he's an unbelievable head coach, He was an unbelievable position coach and an unbelievable coordinator. So it was pretty evident that he had a bright future, and I just tried to keep pegging away and doing what I was supposed to do, and it kind of worked out. But he does a great job.
Thanks, man.
Mike Nisley.
Yeah, Adam, I'm curious with the 8 guys, can you take us into how you'll organize things for spring, at least the start of spring camp? How do you try to get a look at all 8, and how do you structure things?
Well, like first of all, every rep is a premium, so they have to understand that every rep that they take is important, and every rep or mistake in terms of just knowledge is a critical error because it is going to be highly competitive. We have a bunch of guys in that room that can make plays with the ball. We got to continue to find out who can play without the ball, and we're going to put in a couple of things early in spring with 2 backs to see how that looks. We've done a little bit of that over the years here. So we can get more guys on the field at times. But, we're going to do the best we can with the guys that we already know a little bit about. They may at times have to take a step back and let the younger guys see what they can do, so we have a little better feel going into fall camp, where everybody fits and what roles everybody's going to have going into the fall. But it'll be a challenge, but our guys are ready. They've had a great offseason so far. They continue to get better. I think our leadership is solid. And so we're trying to raise the level of the whole group, which hopefully in turn raises the level of the whole team. So the challenge of it is just going to be they're going to have to maximize their reps. We may try to get a few more personnel groupings where we get a couple of them on at the same time to see how that looks. And then, figure out what roles they can be successful. Some guys are going to be better on the perimeter and some guys are going to be better inside and try to match that skill set with the scheme that goes with it.
And then with Blackshear, he's split time at wide receiver, and then it seemed like at the end of the year it was basically just a receiver when you guys were hurting for depth. With you guys trying to replace Herbert, will he get to work more with you now for a little while, or do you anticipate it still being 50-50? What's kind of the plan for him?
Well, Raheem is a tailback or a running back in our offense, and he will be with us. He will still get to be outside, split out, because he's very talented. He's versatile that way. That also helps our other guys get opportunities when he's out on the perimeter making plays as a receiver. That gets somebody else on the field. So in terms of the running back room, that's a positive every time he can make a play out there. But he's going to be in the running back room getting an opportunity to earn his role there. And so he will be a running back, but he will certainly try to continue to find ways to maximize his ability. As you guys know, he was – it was a tough situation last year with not knowing if he was eligible coming into August, so the limited reps, and then with COVID issues. And so he's a very smart kid. He's been working his tail off to make sure he's in position to make plays, and we're optimistic that he'll have an opportunity to do that.
And do you prefer, obviously it depends on how guys do and emerge, but do you like having a number one back like Khalil where you can rely on him, 15, 20 carries a game, or are you okay with the running back by committee approach if need be?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think anytime you have multiple guys that can make plays, it helps everybody. I mean, the running back position is a tough position. It's physically demanding. So every time you run that football, there's a bunch of dudes chasing you. So having multiple guys that can go out there and play at any time is better, to be honest with you. And obviously, Khalil did a great job last year, and we were proud of him. But we had plenty of guys that could make plays if he wasn't able to go, and we expect that to be the case this year. So we don't have to have one guy getting all the carries if that's the case, because they're being extremely productive. We have no issue with that either. We're going to do the best we can to make sure we're moving the ball down the field. So I would prefer to have multiple guys that can play, but we'll do whatever we can to move the football.
Andy?
Yeah, Adam, before you were coach of running backs, you sort of had that general player development role on the assistant staff. I think we're talking to Fuente before. He said he wanted you in that position because you two were sort of in lockstep in terms of how you think about roster management and the types of players that you guys like. And obviously recruiting was a big part of that. Is there a certain traits or hallmarks of Virginia Tech recruits or the types of players that you guys go after that both you and Fuente agree on, that's kind of your strategy?
Well, like recruiting is obviously it's educating guys on how special of a place Virginia Tech is. I mean, there's no place in the country that's better to go to college and have an experience. We're the complete package in terms of top university academically, obviously big time football, and then the student quality of life is unbelievable. And so we want to identify people who want that experience, and then from a football side of it, it's evaluation. So it's educating those guys on what Virginia Tech has and what we have to offer, and then it's evaluating the talent. And so much of it anymore it's always been the case is what's on the inside. How tough they are, how hard they want to work. That's what we want to be. Virginia Tech's always been that way. It's hard and tough, And we continue to look for those kind of guys, and we've got a bunch of them right now, and we're excited about this group.
It sounds like before all the recruiting visits and stuff were shut down, that you guys had a very aggressive plan to sort of attack it with the new staff, especially in the state. How's that been altered in the last year, where you've been resigned to Zoom sessions and stuff like that? Has it changed your plans a whole lot?
I won't say. I don't think it's really changed our plans. It's just changed how we've executed those plans. I mean, like you said, we've had to get on a bunch of Zooms and phone calls. They've opened up the call restrictions, so you're on the phone a lot more. Normally, you would be on the road and evaluating in January, and in February, you kind of got to focus on your own team before you went out spring recruiting. And now, just because of the nature of it and because of the rules with COVID, where they're going to have super seniors essentially having more guys on the roster, the 22 class is sped up. And so being aggressive with those Zoom meetings, with communicating with the prospective student athletes and the parents is certainly it's an every day, every night situation where you want to make sure you're on top of those guys. So that's the biggest thing. Is usually there's kind of like, and for the kids too, for the prospects, there's kind of a segment of it, and now it's all kind of all together. We're basically recruiting all the time and trying to get the best kids we can find.
Did you guys feel like you had to make up ground in the state? And if so, how hard has that been, not being able to go on the road and see some of those people face to face?
Well, I mean, the state of Virginia has a lot of really good football players, and we want to continue to target the best guys in this state and find the ones that fit our culture, and there's a lot of good ones. We have a great recruiting staff right now. It's unbelievable. From the defensive side of the ball is awesome. The communication with guys. I continue to expect the prospects we recruit are going to continue to get better and better. We've recruited a bunch of good kids that some of them are underrated, quite frankly. But we'll continue to evaluate the best we can. But obviously, the state of Virginia is very important to us, and I think we have made a concerted effort to continue to do a good job in this state.
Just had one more related to recruiting. Your new title, recruiting coordinator for offense. I'm curious, what does that position entail, and how do you approach it?
Well, it's just another way of getting more emphasis on recruiting in terms of just communication, like you guys had brought up. I mean, a defensive guy may be area recruiting an offensive player, and we may have an academic Zoom on a Wednesday night, and somebody's got to coordinate who's doing what meetings so we can get the right coaches involved and communicating with the kids and make sure everything's set up. So there's a lot because of the Zoom world. There's a lot more coordination and communication, and then obviously just to continue to bring up recruiting on each side of the ball. I know JC on the defensive side of the ball. Coach Cornelson does a great job of making sure we get to watch film and learn more about guys, ask questions, have time to call coaches. Those are the things just to continue to make an emphasis on both sides of the ball of learning as much as we can about the guys we're recruiting.
Thank you.
Mike Nisley, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, too. With Jalen Holston, he obviously showed he was healthy, after 2019. Didn't get a ton of opportunities, but made the most. What did you think he needs to do to kind of unlock that and be a full-time, guy for you? Where do you think he needs to kind of take a step forward?
Well, I think Jalen did a great job of maximizing his opportunities when he got them. He didn't get a lot of opportunities early, but when he did get them early, he was productive, and part of that was a function of Khalil being so productive and getting those reps. But this offseason, Jalen has leaned up. He's moving well. Like, his change of direction is continuing to get better, and Jalen's a smart kid. He's smart and tough, and so that change of direction and continue to get a little bit faster will help him get to the next level. But in terms of being a productive back at this level, he's already proven that he can be that, and I know he's hungry to prove that he can get more, and that's what he's trying to do this offseason. The offseason is so important for every player, and to me, he's maximizing that right now, giving himself a chance to be successful.
And then Marco Lee, obviously a guy we didn't get to see much of. I think he had like 3 carries last year. Junior college transfer. What are your expectations for him? He looked like we saw him in the weight room last year before COVID broke, and he seemed ready. But what do you see from him?
Marco has had a really good offseason as well. He kind of had to learn, like last year before COVID, just in terms of the offseason, the playing without the football part of it. He spent a lot of extra time this offseason already. He's leaner as well. You saw a little bit against Clemson at the end that he has a chance to be a productive inside runner. He has very good instincts. For Marco, his deal is continuing to play without the football and getting opportunities to carry that football. But I expect him to have a really good spring. He's had a good offseason, and I'm anxious to see where he fits at the end of this spring because I do think he's got some talent. We got, like I said, a bunch of guys in that room that have talent, and they have to separate themselves this spring. That's their responsibility. My responsibility is to make sure they're ready and give them an opportunity to be successful, and it's their opportunity to maximize those chances and make sure they're in the mix when it comes time. And Marco, I have every expectation that he'll have a great spring.
And then Keyshawn King, I'm not sure if he was totally healthy last year at times, or coach said, he wasn't kind of available in certain games. I mean, where's his head at, and is he kind of excited to try to, get back in that rotation like you've mentioned?
Yeah, Keyshawn is another one it's so far this offseason, and the work ethic, the feedback from the weight room has been awesome. We expect to see that big play stuff that he showed as a freshman. I expect to see that this spring, and I expect to see it next fall. I think we need him to be a big part of this offense, and I expect him to be that. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run. He is a physical guy for a leaner kid. Like, he needs to continue to put on some weight, but we're very excited about the progress he's made this spring. Is really exciting, and I expect him to be productive and help us win games.